I'm Dr. Maha Nasr. I'm professor of pharmaceutics and industrial pharmacy at the Faculty of Pharmacy, Ain Shams University, and also currently acting as the executive director of the International Cooperation Office at the faculty.
I'm Professor Amal Amin, professor of nanotechnology at National Research Center. I'm founder and co-founder of several organizations as Women in Science Without Borders, Global Young Academy, and Egyptian Young Academy.
I'm Professor Rania Sweif. I am professor in Ain Shams Faculty of Engineering, Electrical Power and Machine Department. I am the IEEE SAC chair for now.
My name is Aida Saban. I'm an electronic engineer with PhD degree. I was the first woman to be chairwoman for electronics factory in Arab Organization for Industrialization and in Egypt as a whole. I was the first minister advisor for electronic industries and energy for Minister of State for military production. And now I am a visiting doctor in British University in Egypt, and I have many hats as a committee member or board member in several entities.
I'm Dina Kamaluddin Sabri Shhaye, and I'm an architect. Currently, I hold the position of founding program director of the Architecture and Urban Design program at Nile University. Before that, I've worked most of my career at the Housing and Building National Research Center of Egypt. It is a national center that produces the Egyptian codes for construction and housing and some urban planning as well. I have my private firm, consultancy firm, that I was active in since 1998 until 2018 when I moved to Nile University. Couldn't hold both positions, so I was invited to start this program with an Erasmus Plus fund from the EU Commission, and I established a new undergraduate program in architecture and urban design in the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences at Nile University since 2018.
Actually, I can remember a training that I attended. It's called the Africa Science Leadership Program. We were selected as 15 members from Africa at that time. And when I attended the training, I thought that I was a potential leader, but then they started to address us as actual leaders. They are saying, you have the self-confidence, you can empower others, you are actual leaders, not potential leaders. So it was a very turning moment in my life because I felt that already I can make the influence. So I can remember this moment very clearly, that I felt empowered, I felt like a leader, and that I have the ability to change the lives of others as well.
I chose science because I loved science from my childhood, and I think my role model encouraged me, as Marie Curie encouraged me to continue. And I think I chose to study chemistry depend on that, on her story as a role model, where she began her career from the beginning, where she decided to study chemistry, and she was the first woman who obtained the Nobel Prize twice, one in chemistry and one in physics, so that I decided to study chemistry and be a professor. Also, I founded the Women in Science Without Borders to develop the society with science and to bridge the gap between women and men, or the gender gap. Finally, I didn't find any gender issues in Egypt because I was encouraged by my family, by supporters, and my colleagues. Sometimes I found some problems from female colleagues, by the way. As I said, with my professor, with my colleague now outside, but it's a problem of awareness, because sometimes the female scientists themselves don't support themselves. But if we increase the awareness that we have to support ourselves and we have to make successful networks, I think in the future we will be more powerful.
Just to be self-confidence, to believe in herself, in what she is like to do. Second, to have a plan, to have a strategy, to know where to go, to plan for her steps. And to be open for all minds and all different point of view. to get a little bit tolerance. We are all different. So she has to fight for what she thinks for, what she wants to achieve. At the same time, to accept differences from people. This tolerance will give her acceptance and resilience to accept the differences and to withstand to her idea and to validate it and to reach what she like to have.
Actually, this is a very critical issue for women. I was targeting to prepare my studies, either Master of Students, Master of Science, or PhD, and I was married, and I have my personal life and family life, and raise my children, and above all, I have my work. The encouraging of my family to pursue my career, this is one point that I was lucky enough. In general, it's a balance that sometimes go this way or that way. This means that if my field of work demanded some time over my family, then my family totally understand this. And again, after this critical time, I pay more attention to my family to overcome this loss of time for them. So it's always like ups and downs. It's never will be as a 50% for this and 50% for that. So always putting my eye on both in order not to fail in this.
I can remember some of the circumstances in which at the younger age I used to apply for some grants or some opportunities, but then I find that they preferred men over women for these opportunities. So it was disappointing at first, but then I thought if I gave up now, then this is not going to end. I have to set an example. I have to be a role model for others. So I was persistent. I kept on applying for opportunities and grants. I kept empowering others, especially those who are at the early stage of their career. And somehow I managed to empower women, and also the women in STEM in particular. So I overcame these challenges, and I advised others to overcome these challenges as well.
I think the future is very bright. With respect in Egypt, I think now the percent of women in science is about 50-50. So that it's more than in other countries, like in Europe as example. Because the percent of UNESCO 30%, and in Egypt, in some institutions, it's 50%. So that the future of women in STEM in Egypt is bright. But the problem lays in the leadership. We have to increase the number of women in the leadership positions, but with equal opportunities. That means that we mustn't hire women. We must open the opportunities in front of women and men, and then hire the most qualified ones by increasing the qualifications and make capacity building training and so on. So that in the future we will have qualified women for the leadership positions.
I believe when you believe in something, you will give the power to your audience or your students or your researchers to believe in it. If you're not self-confident of what you are going to do, if you don't have a plan, how you will convince your researcher or your research group to do what you would like to organize your work. So you have to understand it, to believe in yourself, to have a confidence, and this confidence has to be built on knowledge. So you have to build your own knowledge to give the confidence to support your team. This will build a big role in building the trust and the bridges between you and your students, between you and researchers. Even if you like to submit for any job or task or something like project, if they felt that you have a self-confidence and you know what you are going to do, you have a clear steps of the approach or the analysis you like to execute, this will give a trust for the stockholders, the manager, to give you the task you are aiming for.
I remember in one incident that we had like a presentation that I should do and present to all branches of our armament authority and military services. And my manager decided that I will be the chosen one to do this presentation. So I felt his confidence that he is giving me this opportunity to excel and show my capabilities for all the branches of our military armament authority. So I stayed all day studying this presentation, and in order to prove myself and be able to present and answer any question of this presentation that I have already seen a day one before. When I went there, actually, I got very, very excellent feedback from those people, and they were all men. This has given me a very good confidence in me that I can present myself and I can present my factory and my company and my organization. This is actually when I tell this story to young colleagues, engineers, they feel very empowered that they can do this. They are encouraged to make the same experience and even more in order to achieve what I have achieved, or even better than this.
My main advice would be to never give up, because this career is full of challenges, full of problems, and it's full of opportunities as well. So if we gave up at the first problem, then we are not going to achieve anything. So never give up, always keep trying, always be persistent, and you're going to be successful.
To me, empowering is to giving you a chance. To empower women is when you like to step into a certain place, to have a chance equal versus your opponents. I'm not speaking about men, I'm speaking about your colleagues. To have an equal chance to submit for something you feel that you are qualified for. But to empower yourself, you have to build yourself in the right way. So if you are qualified and you have all the merits that will give you this place, the right empowering is to deal with you as equal as your friend. If you have the property, if you have the personality, if you have what they are searching for from your personal capabilities, your research capabilities, so the right empowering is to give me my right.
The perception of success, it differs from one person to another. So at first I thought that in my career that success, because it's measured by quantitative terms, like for example the number of papers, the H index, the number of projects. So I was aspiring to secure some achievements in this regard. But then as the time passed, I believe that success is not just quantitative, but also it's measured by the influence that you have made in the lives of others. So if I empower others, if I'm setting an example and being a role model for others, I believe that this is success. If you can make a change and a difference in the life of others, then this is the true success. The career in STEM is very competitive. So sometimes you apply for opportunities and grants, but then you don't get it. Somehow there is a perception that women are not as qualified as men if they take some leadership position or so. So these are challenges that we are facing every day, but then we are seeing more and more successful women and more women assuming leadership positions and achieving and realizing their dreams. So I believe that the future is bright, and as I was saying in one of the conferences, women are going to rule the world.
Being a woman, I should add that I had my first child 2 months into the PhD program in Wisconsin, Milwaukee, in the US. And it was the first baby to be born from students in the PhD program, so I was the only mother. Everybody else was working 18 hours a day, and I had to go back and forth for the baby, but I managed. And by the end of the 6 years we spent there, my husband was doing his PhD in electrical engineering, the same school. I was pregnant with my second child. So when we came back in 1995, I had my daughter here, and I took a couple of years of taking a reduced load of work. And then when she turned 2, in 1998, I started full throttle, the research center, the consultancy part-time, the consultancy in my firm, and the part-time teaching. I would say it was accidental to an extent. I was one of the top in my class in graduation in 1984 from the Department of Architecture in the School of Engineering, Cairo University. That year there was an issue, and usually they ask top class candidates to become teaching assistants. There was a problem, a technical problem with all our batch, and so they took only 1 teaching assistant instead of 6. So I was supposed to be a TA at Cairo University. When this didn't happen, I started inquiring about being a TA in other universities, and I had my father's firm, Architecture and Urban Planning, to work in, and I'm an only child. My father suggested that I go and apply at the National Research Center. It wasn't necessarily a chosen, a pre-planned aim that I want to be an academic, no. But I applied, and I worked at HBRC, we call it as the short acronym. I found out that I like research very much. I conducted research in my undergraduate years very seriously, and I liked the multidisciplinarity of research. Research in architecture and urban issues is very multidisciplinary because it touches on where people live, from one dwelling unit to a neighborhood, to downtown, to waterfronts, to the city. So the field interested me more and more, and I was drawn to the urban design field big time and to the housing field. And I found that I love research. So I worked in research. The first mentor who taught me how to conduct research was, may she rest in peace, Dr. Layla Muharram. I learned a lot from Dr. Layla, so that was the first mentor I had. While being an undergrad, I always eyed who were our professors. Architecture and urban planning and urban design is a field dominated by men. But at Cairo University, we had a few women professors. They had men as partners. And that also I noted, that for sustainability of practice with the pressures we get in submissions, in market competition, that having a solely woman-run architecture firm was difficult. That's the message I got. I continued doing research-based design all my life. Even the architecture and the neighborhood design and the planning that I work in my office is always research-based.